You believe you live in a free digital world, a world of infinite options, competing brands, competing platforms, competing voices, convinced that choice equals control. But real power has never been about the surface, it has always lived underneath it. Empires are not announced, they are constructed. In ancient times, power was visible, armies marched, flags were raised, borders drawn in blood. Today, power is quiet. It is embedded in systems so deeply integrated into your life that removing them would feel like removing electricity from a city. You do not see the empire. You operate inside it. Before you speak to anyone in the morning, you interact with one of them. Before you earn money, move money, read information of legit traffic, stream a film, send a document, store a memory, or build a company, you pass through infrastructure owned by a handful of corporations. They are not competing for territory, they have already built it. And modern civilization runs on their architecture. There are 5 of them. 5 technological empires that sit beneath governments, beneath markets, beneath culture itself. They do not rule through ideology, they rule through dependency. The first empire mastered enclosure. Apple understood something fundamental about human behavior. People do not want fragmented systems, they want seamless experiences, so it did not simply build devices. T built an ecosystem, hardware fused with software, fused with services, fused with identity. The phone connects to the laptop connects to the watch, messages sync, photos sync, payments synced. Everything works with an elegance that feels almost invisible, and that invisibility is the point. Because the more seamless the system becomes, the more friction there is in leaving it. Apps purchased, storage accumulated, habits formed, entire workflows designed around compatibility. It is not coercion. It is comfort, and comfort is one of the most powerful retention mechanisms ever engineered. When hundreds of millions live inside a controlled digital environment, that environment becomes more than a product line, not enforced by law, but by design. Yet even sovereign spaces depend on deeper layers. Beneath the devices you hold is infrastructure you never see. Microsoft does not dominate headlines with cultural influence. It dominates through necessity. Governments draft policies on its software. Corporations manage global operations through its systems. Hospitals store critical data inside its servers. Financial institutions execute transactions across its platforms. Its operating systems became the foundation of workplace computing. TIA's productivity tools became institutional standards, and its cloud network, Azure, quietly integrated itself into the back end of modern economies. This is not the power of visibility. It is the power of entrenchment. If social media disappeared tomorrow, culture would shift. If enterprise infrastructure collapsed tomorrow, economies would stall. When an empire becomes the plumbing of civilization, replacing it is no longer a competitive decision, it is a structural risk. And structural risk creates long-term dominance, but enterprise systems alone do not shape the modern world. Computation at global scale does. Amazon is often perceived as a retail company, a marketplace, a logistics machine delivering packages at extraordinary speed. But that perception hides the true scale of its influence. Amazon Web Services powers an enormous portion of the internet's backend. Startups launch globally without building data centers because Amazon already built them. Streaming services distribute content across continents because Amazon's infrastructure absorbs the load. Even competitors often rely on its servers. The digital economy does not simply sit on the internet, much of it sits on Amazon. At the same time, its logistics network redefined physical commerce, warehouses optimized by algorithms, distribution systems operating with machine precision, supply chains compressed to near instant fulfillment. It occupies both the digital layer and the physical layer of global trade, marketplace and backbone, retailer and infrastructure provider. When one entity sits at the intersection of data flow and product flow, It acquires leverage beyond traditional commerce. Three empires: device ecosystems, enterprise infrastructure, cloud computation. But hardware and servers alone do not determine reality. Information does. In every era, whoever controlled the flow of information shaped perception, and perception shapes behavior. Alphabet sits at the gateway of knowledge. Search queries reveal intention. Maps reveal movement. Video platforms reveal preference. Advertising systems reveal behavior patterns at planetary scale. When billions of people ask a single interface what to think, where to go, what to buy, how to learn, and what to believe, that interface becomes more than a tool. It becomes an arbiter. Algorithms rank what is seen and what is buried. They influence which businesses grow and which disappear. They decide which narratives gain traction and which dissolve into obscurity. This is not manual censorship. It is mathematical prioritization. But mathematics at scale becomes influence. And influence at scale becomes power. Then comes the empire that mastered attention itself. Meta platforms built platforms not around information, but around identity. Social graphs map human relationships. Behavioral data predicts reactions. Algorithms refine content to maximize engagement. The product is not the app. The product is time your time measured, analyzed, and monetized. Attention is the most finite resource in the digital age. Control attention and you influence perception. NFLU, perception, and you influence culture. Influence culture, and you influence politics, markets, and social norms. Move down another layer. Cloud infrastructure. When startups launch globally using Amazon Web Services, they inherit scale without owning hardware. This accelerates innovation, lowers barriers, but centralizes foundational computing power into a small number of providers. If digital civilization is a city, cloud infrastructure is the power grid. Invisible, constant, essential. Now step back further. Enterprise systems. Microsoft sits quietly inside boardrooms, supply chains, financial modeling systems, cybersecurity frameworks, and government databases. Its software became standardized not through force, but through adoption, and standardization at global scale is one of the most durable forms of power ever created. And standardization at global scale is one of the most durable forms of power ever created. Finally, return to the device layer. Apple controls the interface through which millions experience all of the above. The hardware is not just hardware, it is the gateway. It determines app distribution rules, payment systems, privacy frameworks, platform permissions. When the gateway is controlled, negotiation power increases across the ecosystem. None of these empires operate alone. They compete fiercely. They challenge each other in courtrooms and markets, but their coexistence does not dilute their power. It stabilizes it. The modern world does not rely on a single pillar. It relies on a network of them, and here is the uncomfortable truth. Modern civilization is no longer built purely on physical infrastructure. It is built on digital infrastructure owned by corporations. Electric grids are regulated. Water systems are public utilities. Roads are governed by states. But digital highways, the ones carrying communication, commerce, identity, and culture, are privately constructed and privately optimized. This is not inherently dystopian. These companies created extraordinary value. They accelerated innovation. They connected billions. They reduced friction across industries. They solved problems at unimaginable scale. But concentration of power has consequences, even when that power is productive. When 5 entities hold structural influence over devices, infrastructure, computation, information, and attention, the balance between public authority and private architecture begins to blur. Who regulates systems governments rely on? Who oversees algorithms too complex for public audit? Who negotiates when national policy conflicts with platform policy? These questions are not theoretical anymore. They are contemporary. and they define the next era of global power because power is shifting not away from governments, but alongside them. The new geopolitical map is not just drawn in borders. It is drawn in server locations, data flows, platform ecosystems, semiconductor supply chains, algorithmic models. Empires once expanded by land. Now they expand by integration. You do not cross their borders. You log in, you update, you sync. You agree to terms and conditions that govern digital territories larger than continents. The question is not whether these empires exist, they do. The question is whether we recognize the structure we are living inside, because the most powerful systems are not the ones that demand obedience. They are the ones that make themselves indispensable. And when indispensability becomes normalized, power becomes invisible. The 5 tech empires did not conquer the world. They built the operating system for it. And once the operating system becomes default, everything else runs on top of it. This is not just technology. This is power, and this is only the beginning. Welcome to the power. If you want to understand the systems shaping your world, subscribe to the Power Chronicles.